have no complaints about last night. I'm actually really excited about this stanza. This stanza has really come into reality for me. It's been a reality for me. It started as a reality for me in my fraternity days, but I didn't understand it, and I'll explain what I mean in a second. So, the 50th stanza is: the art of peace is the principle of non-resistance. Because it is non-resistant, it is victorious from the beginning. Those with evil intentions or contentious thoughts are vanquished instantly. The art of peace is invincible because it contends with nothing. So I'll give you two stories. The first story is from Advanced Individual Training in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So I was 37 Fox in the military, which is psychological operations. That's special operations. Special operations is trained out of Fort Bragg. Went to Fort Bragg for my 13 weeks of AIT, and it was really good, really hard training. And by about the 9th and 10th week, I was really feeling confident with myself. And I mean, for good reason. I was as physically fit as I had ever been. I wasn't just running 6 miles. I was like almost sprinting 6 miles, and I could do it. And I could do it on top of, large amounts of training. We were waking up at 0:04, whatever it was. We were training in the morning. We were having class. Then we were training in the afternoon. And then after training, I would train with my buddies. So there was no letdown in activity, and I was able to handle it all. So I began to feel very confident. And my fraternity had a group email chat. And the group email chat I could access because we were allowed to have access to the internet at AIT at certain times. And so I remember this guy named Cooper, would put out these emails that were just full of like really funny jokes, and he would razz people and give people a hard time. And it was just a very lively back and forth. And some people would get in and make jokes, and I was never very good at making jokes. So I was overconfident, and I thought it would be a good idea to go in and make some jokes. So I called some people out, just ribbing, et cetera, et cetera. Well, people came back at me and started ripping back. And what happened was I began thinking about what they had said. I began dwelling on what they had said. And then I began thinking about ways to counter what they said. And because I was kind of like caught in this experience, I spent lots of time thinking about it and planning for it. And then I put it out on the internet. And then it would come back, and then it was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I just left feeling really crappy. It was just bad. I mean, every time I put something out, the person would counter with something equally or even a little bit more kind of like mean or ribbing, so it was like it's making fun of each other, stuff like that, and so it was just a very painful kind of thing, and it didn't feel good. I left that conversation feeling crappy, and I know I actually feel less close to the person who I was kind of engaged in this kind of ribbing with, and that is always, I still kind of feel it. Like, I just remember it just escalated to more and more personal attacks. And each round, it got a little bit more severe and cruel. And so that's one story. Okay. So that was 10 years ago. No, that was 2003, 7 years ago. Okay. So that's 7 years ago. Last week, I took a stand on somebody's talking about the NFL and kneeling for the national anthem. And I said that this argument was garbage. It was I came down on the argument really hard. Well, the person who put the comment up came at me for my argument. And in the process of coming at me, he threatened me, he threatened my business, he threatened almost everything that he could do or could threaten, while at the same time saying he doesn't do that kind of thing. So it was a veiled threat in every sense of the word. What happened in the first story is that the comments I took very personally, and it became very much a part of me. And so when I was interacting with my response, I was interacting with the personal feelings of that comment, those comments. 7 years now, this comment, this situation, I didn't feel any of it. I didn't feel what was going on and what he was trying to say. He was trying to create fear. And by attempting to do that, I felt what he was trying to do. And instead of engaging with that piece, instead of engaging with that feeling inside and then attacking that piece, I didn't resist it at all. I embraced it. I pointed it all out, and I actually said, thank you. I said, I really appreciate this. I really appreciate X, Y, and Z. The next exchange, this was on Facebook, the next exchange was even more veiled threats. And again, I didn't take it in. It didn't become part of me. I didn't feel it. And again, I was able to, instead of kind of isolating on the sharp like jabs this person was making, I moved to the kind of moved to the right of it and was able to kind of shift where his focus was onto something else. And as a result, the guy's next series of comments was one of friendship and humor. And it was fascinating. And I no longer look at this as like a novelty or something unique. I look at it as a fundamental aspect of how I participate with life now. There is no resistance. And by that, what that means, or let me just read this stanza so you can see what I'm talking about. The art of peace is the principle of non-resistance. Because it is non-resistant, it is victorious from the beginning. Those with evil intentions or contentious thoughts are instantly vanquished. The art of peace is invincible because it contends with nothing. So I'm victorious from the beginning now with most interactions because I'm not going to create more conflict. It's just not going to happen. And it would happen if it was intentional. But in the context of online or even engagement with my family, for the most part, I don't resist it. I don't resist anything. I don't resist anything at all. And what happens is it's coming at me. The feeling is coming at me. I don't resist it at all. And before I know it, the feeling's gone. Dune's about to come out. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the invincible death. It brings about total obliteration. I will face my fear. When fear is gone, I will turn to Steve Fear's path. Where it is gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. That's what that means. Whatever's coming in, it just comes in. It goes right through you. And once it's gone through you, there isn't anything there. And so once it's gone through you, you can look at what's actually going on, and you can know the right place to put your position, or put your thoughts, or put your ideas. That's what non-resistance means. Non-resistance is absolute awareness. And what people, or what the enemy, or what the other, or whatever you can imagine, what happens when they kind of come on an attack is they get you where you're able to be got. So, part POTUS is able to do is get people where they're able to be got. And part of the reason that's the case is because most of the kind of elite professional class is there because of intellect and is there because of their kind of their structured relationship to thinking and reasoning. And because POTUS is so the opposite of that, most people are constantly being stuck in a sense of incredulity. And because they're so incredulous and so like, I can't believe this is happening, they're missing all the opportunities to interact in a more, even in a more loving kind of way. Like the guy I interacted with the other day, I mean, I just felt him. I felt his pain. I felt his resistance. I felt his identity. And I know what happens with fragile identities is if you trigger them, they go into fight mode. It's a self-preservation mode, which is typically some form of violence and intimidation and threat. And that's what happens when there's just a limited amount of resources. And I'm not talking about the person's material stuff. I'm talking about a limited amount of resources internally. Like there's just not a lot of love. There's not a lot of support. And so what's the best way not to feel so down when that's a reality is to attack. It's totally normal. It's not something that should be, surprising or to be feared. It just is. So by not resisting, when you don't resist, you actually develop a more formidable backstop or a more formidable force for good. That's the part that I think so many people are like, no. When you resist, you create what the enemy's bringing at you. When you don't resist, you make what the enemy's bringing you what you want it to be. It's brilliant. It's such a brilliant understanding. If they attack and you resist, their attack becomes manifest. If they attack and you don't resist, their attack becomes nothing. It disappears. And so what it means when you don't resist and you win from the very beginning is that no matter what they throw, no matter what they come with, it's just going to go through you. And once it's gone through you, you won't be burdened by it. It's like a bullet that goes past you. It's not in you, so you're free to move. So it's the same thing with the mind, with thoughts, words, actions, deeds. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. And so what that gives me and whomever else takes up this understanding is a unlimited amount of options, no matter what the situation brings. It's the most powerful thing you could possibly be. The notion that you have to be one way to be powerful and be powerful this way is it's a myth. It doesn't hold up. It doesn't stand the test of time. So anyway, I love the 50th stanza. The art of peace is invincible because it contends with nothing. And that's just a statement. All right, let's train. I hope I get to talk about this topic more today and this weekend because, man, it's a good one. All right, let's train. Sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. What shows up for you? For me, it's a little bit of a taste in the mouth. I'm wearing new pants. I can feel that. My left foot under my left knee. Feels a little bit too heavy. Move that. A song in my head. Sound of the wind. to a bell 2. Notice my ground, so what's beneath me. Make any adjustments that add comfort. Going to the base of the spine, tailbone, sit bone. Releases psoas, core, heart space, throat, top of the head. I start softening muscles on the way down. So I build this alert upright spine. Start to soften muscles on the way down. Eyes, cheeks, jaw. Throat, chest. Notice baseline. Let's go max sides. Let's max out front to back. Let's max out up and down. Do 1 minute. See if you can feel omnidirectional breath. So feel all the parts, this front to back, side to side, up, down. Feel all of them move on the inhale. Let's practice that 3 times and sit for a minute. Let's move into gratitude. So feel free to hands on heart. Gratitude for your enemies. Gratitude for your enemies. Picture your enemies. Picture the things that you think are pulling from the goodwill of life. Once you have those images in your mind, cultivate a narrative in your own head of gratitude for the fact that they are there to give you training, to teach you, to help you understand the path of non-resistance. It's not the path of passivity. It's the path of non-resistance. And if you don't resist, you see so much more. Without their attack, you could not understand this. So it's gratitude for that. Now, if you want to move from gratitude to compassion, think of those same people, and instead of thinking them as attacking, think of them as having suffering, challenges that are pulling on them, things that are consuming them and causing them sadness or despair or anger or rage. And offer your goodwill to them in a cosmic kind of way. Imagine your goodwill shooting out to any suffering that's around you. And when you're ready, take 2 breaths. On the second exhale, finish the practice. '50. Love 50. Tell you what, there's nothing better than being in a fight and having both people leave smiling. There isn't anything better than that. Like the dude that I was threatened by twice, and twice he said he didn't do that kind of thing. I mean, twice. We're now buddies. We're not best friends, but we're not enemies. There's no bad blood. There's no ill will. There's no burnt bridge. You know how powerful that is? Man, damn. All right, 50. The art of peace is the principle of non-resistance. Non-resistance. If you need a better idea for what that means, think of water. Water doesn't resist anything, but water takes every form. It doesn't resist anything, but it takes every form. And in time, water destroys everything. Water reshapes everything. You fuck around and think there's not a lot of power to water. You're crazy. Because it is non-resistant, it is victorious from the beginning. That's presence, okay? That is the art of peace, okay? There's not going to be a fight. It's not going to happen. What's going to happen is a blending and a coming to a softer place. And the thing is, most people, I think, oh, what if you get to the tip of this, what if you're in a fight? You're in a fight. Well, here's the thing. You don't just do this when you get into the fight. You do this before the fight. This is before the fight. Everyone's kind of thinking about power and resistance in the context of the fight itself, which is already a failure. And it could also just be a challenge that we're all facing, and that's just the reality. And so there is aspects of the training inside of that as well. But in the context of social engagement with others, if you've gotten to a fight, then you're not practicing the art of peace. The thing about the art of peace is you don't have to fight. The physical fight is like step 10. There's a step 1 that you've blown through. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And when people are, in a bad place and enraged, then that's what happens. They get to 10 right away. But in reality, and mostly in civil society, that's never the case. And so what you're dealing with is the steps, the 10 steps prior to the fight. And that's where the art of peace has its power. There's no getting to the fight in the first place. You've already applied the practice to step 1, and it's already effective. So you don't have to do it. Those with evil intentions and contentious thoughts are vanquished instantly. It doesn't matter what you come at me with. It doesn't matter. You could say the most ridiculous, inappropriate, terrible, rage-filled thing, and it will go through me. I won't hold on to it. You threaten my kids' lives, my wife's lives. Now, the thing is, I would never be in a conversation that got to that point. I would have practiced the art of peace well before that type of thing would have happened. Well before. It doesn't make me a wimp. It doesn't make me a pushover. It makes me aware of what's going on, especially inside of me, before the other person realizes. I'm aware of what's going on inside of you, probably before you are. And because I understand that there's suffering in others, I'm not going to attack you for it. I'm not going to make you feel worse for it. And I'm not doing that for you. I'm not doing that because I care about your well-being. I'm doing that because I care about our well-being and my well-being. So when you come at me with threat, I'm not going to take the threat literally. I'm going to see the threat as your fear, your weakness, your sadness. And I'm going to have compassion for you. And that's going to destroy the energy that fuels the thing that you're using to fight. I'll take the energy away from that. You can still have all those thoughts, but I'm not going to resist you, which makes you want to push harder. I'm not going to resist you. I'm going to let you come at me, and then once you're done, I'm going to not resist it, and I'm going to come at you from another angle, and the anger that you had presented is going to be like, huh? I'm going to confuse the shit out of you. You're not going to know what to do. Goodwill trumps evil all day long. All day long. And the problem with evil is evil needs to feed. Love feeds. Evil has to feed. If you resist evil, it loves it. Loves it. Yes. Woohoo! I'm going to fucking eat you up. You let evil be evil, step to the side of evil, whoop, and evil's like, I'm going to murder your children. And you're like, and evil's like, I'm going to rape your babies. And you're like, and evil's like, but I just said I'm going to do these awful things. Why are you not upset? And you're like, I mean, how many times can evil say ridiculous shit and have it be an impact if it's not having an impact? It's not intrinsically valuable. It's not intrinsically powerful. It's only as powerful as the resistance. This is so counterculture. This is so counter. So I understand that. I get it. And it's okay. It's so counter to what we are kind of predisposed to do. We fight for what we believe in. The art of peace is invincible because it contends with nothing. So this is where I don't have to convince you. I don't have to convince you. I don't have to make this real for you. I'm just telling you it's real. Whether you believe it or not is not so much the point as are you willing to see and practice what this power beholds. And if you are, you need to be practicing with me every morning. You need to be thinking about that as, yeah, I just need to do this. You need to practice with me every morning. The only way to get there is through mindfulness. You can't get there anywhere else. But there is an element to this that is all-powerful. Kind of the way love is all-powerful. And if you want to get down with that, train with me. This is our dojo. this is where we train. If you're watching Cobra Kai, right? If you're watching Cobra Kai on Netflix, it's, it's training. You got to train, right? So this is our digital dojo. It's available to anyone at any time, but you have to do it. You have to train it. And if you do train, you will get to 50. It's taken me 7 years, but I didn't really have a teacher. I didn't really have someone like guiding me. I'm here to guide you if you want it. So that's 50. It's been a great week. It's been a heck of a week I love this week of the stanzas has just been awesome. I'm excited to see what 50, I'm excited to see what the next week brings, because so much of these stanzas correlate to what's going on. I just can't help but be like, huh. So anyway, have a great weekend. We're down. Let's see if anybody here say hi to. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.